Supernatural Protection Agency. Supernatural Profile. Clearance Level 2. Last edited today by Agents Liz and Devin Smith. Name: Joseph A. Eliot. Entity: Spirit. Date of death: June 1900. Status: active. Additional information: inventor. Experimented with electricity. According to notes found after his death, he was experimenting with wireless electric signals brought on by a trip to Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island. Cause of death unknown. Most popular theory being electrocution. Inactive until recently. Must be sought out as soon as possible. Spiritual Bond. Episode 4. Spa Day. Quill and Eliot burst into the mansion and sprinted past Quill's grandmother. "Hi, Grandma! Bye, Grandma!" She looked up at Eliot. "Where are we heading?" "I need something from the attic," he said. "We can think of a better hiding spot there." "Bet." She pivoted, and they flew up the stairs. When they arrived at the attic, they threw open the door, shut it with a slam, and locked it. After catching their breath, Quill asked, "What do we need?" "That box," said Eliot, pointing to the center of the room. On the floor was a bulky box with antennas sticking out of it. The very same box that Quill had touched and released Eliot with. "It may be our only line of defense if things get ugly. We need to get it to the basement. Can you pick it up?" "Probably," said Quill. She eyed it cautiously. "But last time I messed with that thing, I nearly got electrocuted." "I'm sorry, but you have to. I'm pretty sure a spirit can't lift something that heavy." She thought it over, trying not to shake her head as she did. She was about to respond when she heard commotion from downstairs. "They're here," she said. "What?" "They're downstairs." "They're coming up. How do they know we're here?" "Don't you have a grandmother?" It took a second to register what Eliot meant. "Ah, shit. Miss Taylor?" Their eyes shot to the door. Quill didn't know what to say, so she said nothing. "Miss Taylor, my name is Liz, and I'm with the Supernatural Protection Agency. May you please open the door?" The doorknob jiggled. Liz sighed. "Are you sure they're in there? Readings on everything are as high as they get, without a doubt. How do you know she's in there with him? Who could lock the door?" "Miss Taylor, please open the door." "No," said Quill. "I have my friend Devin with me," said Liz. Devin let out a little hello. "We think that you have a friend in there, too. We don't want to hurt you or your friend." "Go away!" "Do you know what the Supernatural Protection Agency does?" asked Liz. Quill shook her head, then realized that they wouldn't see that, but didn't vocalize it anyway out of spite. Liz continued. "At the Supernatural Protection Agency, SPA for short, we ensure that supernatural entities of all shapes and sizes are accommodated for. All we want to do is see your friend and do a checkup or two, like a visit to the doctor's office." Eliot was also staring daggers at the door. What kind of checkup? He wondered to himself. "Oh!" A different voice, most likely Devin, exclaimed from outside. "That's him!" "Mr. Eliot," Liz called out. "Our equipment is set up in a way that we can hear you like anyone else. Feel free to talk when you wish." "I do have a few questions," said Eliot. "Don't engage with them," hissed Quill. "Give them nothing and they'll go away." "It's me they're after, not you. I'd like more information." "So," he began, "what does this entail exactly?" "Before I answer," replied Liz, "confirm this for me. You've only been a spirit for a short time, correct?" Yes." "Less than a month?" "Yes." "This whole experience is new to you. This can be a stressful time for spirits, and because of that, their health isn't exactly at the forefront of their mind. At SPA, we'll take you back to our headquarters and run a couple tests. Once we're sure you're healthy, we let you go. Simple as that. Is there any possible way for me to remain here for those tests? I'm afraid not. You'd have to leave. See, there's the problem, Quill cut in. If you take Eliot, you gotta take me too. Pardon? You see, Eliot tried to explain, we're sort of attached, tethered, bonded. I can't leave Quill alone, no matter what I do. So, to take me anywhere, she also has to come. There were hushed whispers beyond the door. Then, Devon spoke. Would Miss Taylor like to come with us? Hell no! Thought I'd try. Well, if necessary, we can take you by force. Liz added hastily, but we won't. Or at least, we won't if you cooperate. If you unlock the door, we will be able to separate you two. We will remove the spiritual bond using our equipment, and Mr. Eliot will be able to go where he pleases. However, if you do so, he must come with us for testing. It's the least you could do. That was a big offer. Quill wasn't sure what to think. Group huddle, she said quietly, so the agents outside couldn't hear her. There's only 2 of us, said Eliot. Group huddle. They moved to the back of the room, the farthest they could get away from the door. I don't like this testing business. Neither do I. They're being vague. But they can detach us. Eliot nodded. She asked, nervous for some reason, do you want to be detached? Yes, without a doubt. I mean no offense, you're very nice, but I would like some agency every now and again. No, I understand. It goes both ways. She smiled up at him, and he returned it. So, how do we get them to detach us, but not take you away? They have equipment for dealing with spirits, most likely electronic in some way, given what I've seen of this century. Since I'll say no to testing, they'll take me by force, probably using those electronics. The detacher thingy will probably also be electronic. We just have to stop the electronics right after they detach us. But how? Eliot looked around the room, and his eyes landed on the only thing of note, the box on the floor. His face lit up. That's it! Rushing over to it, he eyed it up and down. I never got this to work properly. All it did was blow up all the circuitry in the house. If I time it right, we can blow up their electronics before they can... What is it? Asked Quill. My hand just phases through the box. You're going to have to flip the switch for me. But what if I get shocked? Let's hope you don't. Now go unlock the door. I'll give you a signal. Quill hesitated, but did as he said. She opened the door a smidge, and she was met with the 2 agents. The girl, Liz, had bleached hair and wore a formal navy blue pantsuit. The boy, Devon, kneeled beside her with a ton of fancy-looking technology on hand. He wasn't as formal, only doing a simple dress shirt and a messily tied tie combo. Hello, Miss Taylor, said Liz. Are you letting us in? She nodded and allowed them to fully enter the room. It's nice to meet you 2 in person. Now, as part of our deal, Devon will remove the bond. Stand shoulder to shoulder, please. They lined up in front of the box as Devon adjusted what looked like a taser in his hand. This'll tingle a bit, said Devon. The not taser dinged. Ready? They looked at each other and nodded. All right, here we go. Quill felt not odd, but strange. Like she was being pulled towards one direction, but she knew she wasn't moving. She could best describe it as off-kilter. If it was weird for her, she wondered how alien it felt to Eliot. Suddenly, everything reset, and the force was gone. All done, said Devon. How do you feel, Mr. Eliot? He searched for the words. It feels like I lost 20 pounds I didn't know I had. He floated around the room, testing his limits, and he beamed when he realized there were none. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you, genuinely. We're always happy to help. Remember that, said Liz. She moved close to him. Now, our part of the deal. Quill glanced at the box, finding the switch to turn it on. She hovered her hand over it as inconspicuously as she could, and ready for Eliot's signal. Ah, yes, that, said Eliot. May I do one thing first? I hope you don't mind. Don't take long. He sharply turned the quill. Now! She flipped the switch. A burst of sparks exploded from every electronic in the room. Devin yelped, throwing the knot taser to the ground. As the sparks increased in intensity, the lights flickered, not only in the attic, but outside the hall and across the mansion, too. Then, the electronics erupted in a flash of light, before everything and everyone was shrouded in darkness. You, exclaimed Liz. We were trying to help you. You were trying to take me away from my home. I'm sorry, that's not feasible, replied Eliot. But we got rid of, from a moral standpoint, not a physical one, idiot, replied Quill. You tricked us. Devin, capture him. Force is necessary. I'm not sure if you saw, hon, said Devin, but every piece of equipment we had just short-circuited. No can do. Liz opened her mouth, then closed it. She unceremoniously exited towards the hall, beckoning Devin to follow. Do know that you are now cataloged as a hostile spirit. We could have played nice, but you asked for it. When we return, we won't be so kind. They stormed off. Quill and Eliot remained, not moving, in the silence and the dark for a moment. Even after all that, Quill still had something on her mind. So, is it over? He raised an eyebrow. They just left. For now, yes. No, that's not what I meant. She shook her head. I mean, us. Eliot blinked with comprehension. I see. Well, first thing, you still reside in my house. I can't exactly get you to move out, so we still live together, bare minimum. And the second thing? Do you want it to be over? No, Quill thought. No, she didn't. This was the most fun summer she's ever had, and it wasn't even over yet. And, she had to admit, Eliot was part of the fun. Being constantly together was tiring, sure, but he was her first new friend. But maybe it was too much for him. She got him into this whole mess in the first place. Do you? She asked. He thought. Now that I'm detached, I'll probably spend a lot of my time continuing my experiments. Quill's heart sank. However, he continued, if you want me to tag along every once in a while, I won't say no. She smiled. Really? I have to admit, some of those excursions were fun. All right, we're still a team. Let's go! Quill pumped her fists into the air. At the same time, a dead light bulb sparked. Oh, we should probably fix the power. Now Eliot smiled. To the boiler room? He held out a hand. Quill couldn't physically grab onto it, but she approximated. To the boiler room!